Hi, it's Ben here, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to take your gymnast from nothing to being able to do double leg circles. So the most important thing that we're going to do with the gymnast is teaching them the shapes for pommel. So these are the front support, the back support, and the side support. So we're going to go over these now. We're going to start off with the front support. So in the front support, Dec needs to be looking forwards and his hands sideways with his shoulders planted directly over his palms and his body nice and straight. When you're first doing this, getting the gymnast to do it with flexed feet is fine. However, something that I find is very good is to get them to do it with pointed toes. So this gets them in the habit of where their feet will be when they do their double leg circles. The next shape is the side support. So he's going to do this on both arms. So this is his right arm now. So he's going to make sure that his shoulder is in line with his hand again. His head is looking forwards. You can see his neck and his hips are slightly in front of his feet. So he's in a little bit of an arch shape. His hips should be leading. The next shape is the back support shape. So again, on all of these, the hands need to be facing sideways. So in the back support, you want their shoulder blades really far backwards. You should be able to see their neck and their heads looking forwards. His hips should be lifted in a slight arch shape, and he's in a really strong support there with his shoulders in line with his hands. So this one is the second half for their circle, side support. On this one, it's slightly different because on the way round now, his hips will be in front and it will be his heels that lead. So he's still in the same position he was on the other side, but this will be the second half of his circle and his heels will be in front. So his hips are pushed forwards, his shoulder is in line with his hands and his head is looking forwards. Now the gymnast understands their shapes, it's time to let them have a go at walking around on the pommel to practice their double leg circles. So Declan's going to show us this now. So he'll be in the same shapes as he was before, making sure his eyes are up looking forwards. He's then going to walk into his side support, and as you can see, his arm lifts up and it stays close to his side. He then walks around to his back support, showing a really nice shape, and his arm lifts up again, keeping his arm by his side, heels leading and back to a front support. Once the gymnast is confident walking around the pommel and they're in the right shapes that we want to, we can then start getting the gymnast to jump around the pommel instead, as this is going to make it a little bit harder for them and they can try and practice their shapes a little bit more. Now the gymnast understands how to walk around the pommel and jump around the pommel, it's time to start getting the gymnast used to transferring their weight like they're doing their double leg circles. So what we're going to do is start them in a front support with the gymnast looking forwards. Their arms are going to be straight and they're going to balance side to side, just keeping their arms straight as if they're doing their circles. So you can get the gymnast to practice a few of these, keeping their hips open and making sure they're looking forwards the whole time. Once the gymnast is confident doing these in a front support, I'd also get them doing it in a back support as well. So here we go, Dec's going to show us this now. So his arms are straight, his head's looking forwards, and he's maintaining his body shape throughout this exercise. As you can see, he's leaning side to side, taking his weight on one arm each time. So a really good way to progress on the front support and back support leans is getting them to use a set of P-bars and lean side to side in a support shape. So Dec's going to show you now in his nice shape, going side to side, and they can start speeding this up as if they were doing their circles. So as you can see now, this will be great exercise for him to practice as if he was doing his circles on the pommel horse. So it's the same action with their body, but they're just not having to do the same exercise with their feet. So now we've got the gymnast practicing what it will feel like with the top half of their body, it's time to get the gymnast prepared with the bottom half and what the bottom half of their body is going to be doing. So we've got two exercises that we can do to do this. One of them uses a set of rings and one of them uses a set of P-bars. So we're going to show you these now. It's time to take the gymnast back onto the pommel horse now. So we're going to progress on from the little jumps that we've done earlier and start getting them to jump now into their shapes. They're going to do quarter jumps now. So Declan's going to show us. So he starts in his front support, legs glued together, he's going to jump to side support, to back support, heels back, side support, and front supports. Once the gymnast is confident doing jumps into quarters, it's time to get them to do half jumps. So they're going to jump half of the way round. I wouldn't worry too much about their shapes when they're doing these jumps. You want to make sure they've got straight arms, but this will improve as they get stronger and more confident in their double leg circles. So Dec's going to show us this now. So he's going to jump halfway. So you still want to see a nice back support when he lands, and then to go for the next half, he can bend his legs, heels back, and then he goes to his front support. So you can do that one more time. So he's going to land in a nice back support still. He can then bend his legs slightly to get the jump. He jumps round, heels led, back into his front support. So when the gymnasts first start, they are going to bend their legs. They're not going to be in the perfect positions, but this is just a really good way to build up the strength and the flexibility and the movement for them when doing their double leg circles. Once the gymnast is happy doing half jumps now, it's time to progress them onto the 3/4 jump. Perfect. The next thing I get the gymnasts to do once they can do a comfortable 3/4 jump is to start getting the gymnast to land back on the pommel without their feet on the floor. This helps encourage the gymnast to keep their shoulders over their hands, ready to start doing multiple circles. So Declan's going to show us this now. So when they first start, they might only get 3/4 of the way like this. That's absolutely fine. But it gets them to make sure that they lean over their arm and land back on the pommel, ready to do another circle. If the gymnasts are struggling to manage their double leg circle, a thing that you can do to help them is support them from underneath the armpits. So Ash is going to show us this now with Dec. So you stand on the opposite side that they're going to circle, holding them under the armpits, and as they circle, you move them round the pommel, and this is going to help encourage the gymnast to feel more confident when they're doing their circle, and you can guide them in the right shape. So now it's time to let the gymnast have a go at a full circle. So Declan's going to show us what a full circle should look like. So his head's going to be up, jumps, and lands, with his hips facing forwards, and his head looking forwards as well. Now when they first start, it will not look like this. It'll probably look something like this when they first start, bent legs, and they'll scrape it round. But that's absolutely fine. On the pommel horse, the most important thing is understanding the movement. So what you want to do is just get the gymnast to keep practicing this, and over time we can reinforce the correct shapes. So once the gymnast is confident building up into doing one circle, it's time to start getting them to do multiple. So here are a couple of exercises that we found really useful with our gymnasts in helping them understand going from one circle into multiple circles. So the first thing that we get them to do is to do a circle and land in front support with their hips facing the other direction. So Dec is going to show us this now. So his hips are already turned, ready to do the circle, and he gets used to continuing the movement round. Once they can do this, the next stage is to get them to land and then jump straight into a side support. So they don't stop. So he lands, jumps, and then moves. So this gets them in the habit of keeping moving and not stopping at that one. The next exercise that's been really helpful is to do a circle and stop in a front support, and then to cast off the pommel and to do the second half. So this bit's really great to get the gymnast to practice without putting their feet on the floor and to start building their confidence moving around the pommel. So as you may have noticed, every single circle that we've done today has come from legs together and a jump. Once the gymnast is confident doing it from a jump, it's time to start introducing the step. So I would only do this once the gymnast has got confident doing one double leg circle and a little bit more with their legs together. So Declan's going to show us how to do this today. So his hands are facing sideways as they normally would. He steps his leg to the side, the opposite way he's going to circle, and as you can see, his hips are already turned, his arms slightly off the pommel. Now when his left hand touches the pommel, he's going to be thinking about pushing his palm and his hip towards each other and then starting his circle. So he's going to show us now. So as you can see there, he's really trying to push his right hip forwards, getting ready for his circle. So watch that one more time. So he steps across, he pulls on the pommel and pushes his hip forwards. Once the gymnast is confident doing this and not kicking their leg, Declan's going to show us what it will probably look like when they first start including their step. They'll kick their leg and it'll go all the way through and it won't be the right shape. So it'll look a bit like this. So what we want to try and encourage is the gymnast to land with their hips open so they're doing the step correctly, like this. And then once they can do this, you can add this into the full circles. When the gymnast starts out doing multiple circles, the gymnast shape is going to suffer. However, as the coach, don't be too pedantic about making sure they're in the correct shape at the early stages. This is something that will get better over time. So the gymnast will start in a tuck and a pike, and then after they do this, they'll get a little bit more confident, and we can introduce doing the hips up. Once they can do that, we can start getting them to lift their head a little bit more and starting to open their chest out as well. So this will get better over time with some of the exercises you can use to improve their shape. Here's some exercises that you can do to help reinforce a good shape with your gymnasts on the pommel horse. So this first exercise is to help the gymnast lift their hips while staying strong in their support. It's an elbow plank and also walking around in a double leg circle. So watching deck. So this exercise is very, very hard, but it's going to really encourage the gymnast to keep their hips open. So as you can see, Deck struggles here with his flexibility in his chest. So this would be a really good exercise to practice with Deck to help him open up his chest and his back support. So once the gymnast has built up the correct strength and flexibility, here is what the exercise will look like. Next exercise is the back support drags. So this one is really great to help the gymnasts understand keeping their hips open whilst moving their shoulders. The next exercise is front support drags. So this one's a great way for the gymnasts to maintain their shape whilst moving. Next exercise is front and back support slaps, which is a great way to reinforce the shape for double leg circles. This next exercise is a great way to encourage the gymnast to lift their hips in their circles. So what we're going to do is add some height. So this can be done with a crash mat or some blocks. Deck's going to show us now. So this way, it's encouraging the gymnast to lift their hips and imagine that they're going even higher than where they already are. When the gymnast gets good at this, doing it into a back support, we can then get them to start in a front support and do it from there. And then we can add both together. Here's 3 exercises you can use to help with the gymnasts to build their flexibility in their shoulders for back support. A lot of the boys will be stiff in this area, so these exercises will really help. With the flexibility exercises, I do around 10 to 12 repetitions and aim for between 2 to 3 sets. I hope all of these exercises have been helpful for you in learning to do a double leg circle with your gymnasts. If you have any more exercises that you would like to see, make sure to drop us a comment below.